the implications of this. We only know, the 4 quadrantals plus 3 points on the unit circle, but there are actually 3 other points in every quadrant that have those reference angles. So every quadrant has a 30-degree reference angle, a 45-degree reference angle, and a 60-degree reference angle. And those angles function the same way as the ones in quadrant 1, with the exception of the sign, positive and negative. So if you know those 3 points, you actually know the 9 others as well. So it's a good way to do this without having to memorize all 12 of the points. Only have to memorize 3 of them. So here's what you do, just kind of a recap. First, if the angle is bigger than 360 or less than 0, bring it up by using a coterminal angle between 0 and 360. Then find the reference angle for that angle. Then find the trig values for the reference angle, so 30, 45, or 60, and then adjust the signs for the quadrant you're in. In other words, move your point around. It's the same ordered pair from the unit circle, but you change the positives and negatives depending on where you need to be. Make sense? Okay, so for the rest of this, we're not going to do all 6 for every angle. I'll just pick a trig function and we'll do it. So it won't take as long. So let's look at another example. Let's say I want you to find the exact value of the cosine of negative 240 degrees. You need to learn right now, when I say exact value, what I mean. First off, that means your calculator is off limits. So on a quiz or test, you would not be allowed to use a calculator on that problem. So the calculator's off limits if it says exact. If I ask you to find the exact value of something in trig, that means no calculator, and that means you're going to have to use your unit circle probably. And it also means that no decimals are allowed in the answer. That's why you can't use the calculator. It'll have to be given as a fraction or a radical. Okay, so let's talk about negative 240 degrees. We don't want to deal with negatives, so what we're going to do is we're going to add 360 to it and bring it up. So instead of cosine of negative 240, add 360, and we're really asking for the cosine of what? 120. So we're going to treat our angle like it's 120 degrees. Once you do that, you go over and you draw it. And you say, okay, 120 degrees is about right here, right? That's about 120 degrees? Yes? Then you find the reference angle. If this is 180 and that's 120, how much is trapped right in here?
60.
60 degrees. So that's your theta prime. Theta prime is 60 degrees. And 60 degrees is associated with the unit circle point 1/2, comma, square root of 3 over 2, and a tangent value of square root of 3. Now that's for 60 degrees, right? Yes, you should have that point memorized for the 60-degree angle. Now we need to adjust the signs depending on the quadrant. So the point that we're really interested in is the point where x is negative, y is positive, and the tangent value is negative or positive? Negative, right? Because we're in quadrant 2. Now I didn't have to do all of that. All I really was asking you for was which one? Cosine. And so which one is that? The first one or the second one? The first one, the x value. So that's going to be negative 1/2. All right, one more time from the top. We took the negative 240, we added 360 to it, and we brought it up to 120 degrees, which landed in quadrant 2. We found the reference angle, which was 60 degrees. And we know from our 60-degree point that the cosine value is 1/2, right? But we're not in quadrant 1 anymore, we're in quadrant 2. And cosine is negative there because the x value of the ordered pair is negative there. So I adjusted the ordered pair, and that told me that the cosine value is negative 1/2 because it's x over r. So this is an additional point on the unit circle, right there. Any questions? All right, for our next example, we want to find the exact value of tangent of 675 degrees. So the first thing we need to do is bring the 675 down to a smaller number. So we are going to subtract from it 360 and bring it down to tangent of 315. Okay? Now that it's between 0 and 360, I can go off to the side and I can kind of draw it. 315 degrees is going to be in the fourth quadrant over here. So that's going to be 315 degrees. The closest x-axis is 360 degrees. So if I subtract those two, I get a reference angle of 45 degrees. So whatever is happening at 315 degrees is the same as what is happening at 45 degrees, except that it's going to have a negative y value. So the ordered pair that goes with that is square root of 2 over 2, negative square root of 2 over 2. And what's the tangent value?
1.
Is it 1 or is it negative 1?
Negative.
It's negative 1, yeah. For 45 degrees, it's positive 1, but at 315, the tangent's going to be negative because it's going to be the x divided by the y, or sorry, the y divided by the x, which would be a negative divided by a positive. So what's the answer to the question? Negative 1. And the more you practice this, the faster it gets. You'll actually start to be able to do some of them in your head. You will literally start to see those three ordered pairs. You know, the minute you say, oh, 60 degrees, you'll think 1/2 square root of 3 over 2. And all you have to do is jot down. And when I tell you to show work for a problem like this is plenty. You know, just jotting down that point there.
So you don't have to like draw the circle?
Not necessarily, no. All you have to do is just write down the ordered pair in question.
That's what you made us do last year.
Just draw the circle. Yeah, I just think it takes too much time. And we will spend some more time on the unit circle further down the road. But for now, I just really want you to be able to associate the ordered pairs and adjust the positives and negatives. Okay?
So it's really just memorizing and then being like mindful of the quadrant.
Yes, memorizing them, being mindful of positive, negatives, all that good stuff. Okay, so now let's use what we've done so far to evaluate this expression. It says the cosine of 120 degrees plus 2 times the sine of 60 degrees but squared minus the tangent of 30 degrees squared. So it's going to take some time because it has 3 different angles in it, and we'll have to stop and think about the ordered pairs for all 3 of those angles. Okay, so in order to evaluate this, I need to deal with an angle of 30, 60, and 120. So I'm going to come off to the side and I'm going to draw them all. Now the nice thing about these is I don't have to do any coterminal angles. You know, they're already small enough, they're all between 0 and 360. Well, for the 30 and 60 degree points, I already have those memorized. I know that the 30 degree point is the square root of 3 over 2, comma 1/2, with a tangent of square root of 3 over 3. That's my 30 degree. For my 60 degree point, I know I'm at the ordered pair 1/2, comma square root of 3 over 2, with a tangent of the square root of 3. So those are going to be really easy. And I just need to come over into quadrant 2 and figure out which reference angle 120 degrees has. So if I come over here, about right there-ish, I guess. If that's 120 degrees, and this is 180 degrees, how much is trapped between them?
60.
Yeah. So really, that's going to be exactly the same as this 60 degree point right here, except that the x value is going to be negative. So this will be negative 1/2, positive square root of 3 over 2, and the tangent will be negative square root of 3, because we have to adjust the signs to go with it. Now that you have those 3 ordered pairs from the unit circle, you can use them to evaluate this problem. So I say, all right, I'm going to find the cosine of 120 degrees, and I'm going to put it here. And then I'm going to plug in everything else that I need. All right, what is the cosine of 120? Yeah, technically it's negative 1/2 divided by 1, but we know, that 1 just doesn't matter, so it's just negative 1/2. So this term, the cosine of 120, is negative 1/2. We got that from this point right here, that x over r value on our unit circle. Then I have to come over here and I need to find the sine of 60. And the sine of 60 is the y value over the r value, so square root of 3 over 2 over 1, And I'm not just using the sine of 60. I'm squaring it and I'm multiplying it by positive 2. So I filled that in as well. Then subtract from that the tangent value of 30, but squared. So 30 degrees has a tangent value of, I wrote that wrong, you guys. That should be square root of 3 over 3. And if you forget your tangents, remember that you can always find them by taking y divided by x. This is square root of 3 over 3, quantity squared. Now you just clean them up and perform the order of operations. This is negative 1/2 plus 2 times. If I square that, I get 3/4. Square root of 3 squared is 3, 2 squared is 4. Minus this guy, if I square the top, I get 3. And if I square the bottom, I get 9. Okay, so let's clean it up a little more. That's negative 1/2 plus 3/2. If I multiply 2 times 3/4 minus 1/3. Now I would expect you to be able to do this without a calculator if I asked you to. So you want to make sure that you can, you follow along here. Now what's negative 1/2 plus 3/2? 2/2. So these two make 1, and 1 minus 1/3 is 2/3. Then I'm going to pause right here, and we're going to type this in our calculator and actually check it for, just to see, so that you can start learning how to type things in the calculator when you have the chance to.